Greetings to you, Crocodile Army! I've spent quite a bit of time over the years talking about religion's ill effects on society. We've talked about creationism and various other anti-science teachings, along with bad attitudes toward gay people, people of other religions, and lots more. There are enough people fighting against that, both religious and non-religious, that the voices of the hate peddlers are now being drowned out in large portions of the Western world by a more positive message. As anti-humanity as preaching hate is, there's something that gets less press because it's less common practice, but is really every bit as cruel. At least if you're in some hated class of people, you could potentially avoid a lot of the idiots who hate you if your family and social circle accepts you for who you are. The practice of shunning actually goes a step further. Shunning is a practice where those in a religion are required to have no further contact with someone who is no longer in the religion. There can, of course, always be social consequences upon leaving a religion, but there are only a couple of religions who practice this as a standard part of their doctrine these days, and those are Jehovah's Witnesses and Scientologists. Of course, there are plenty of smaller cults who practice this, and I have no problem putting those two religions in the cult category for their shunning practice alone. If any of you saw the recent HBO documentary Going Clear about Scientology, I highly recommend it. It's a religion with very few members, relatively speaking, but the tactics they use to silence critics are textbook cult behavior. Jehovah's Witnesses are therefore the largest religion to use the practice. Posting this on my Facebook wall could even result in some minor social consequences for me. That's because I have a few cousins who are Jehovah's Witnesses. I like my JW cousins just as I like my other cousins, and I don't think they would cut ties with me over it, but you never know. The religion was passed down to them because one of my grandfathers picked it up relatively late in life and passed it to a part of his family. Others were not so interested. Shunning is an example of one of those corrosive properties of a fervently held religious belief. If you believe it enough, you will hurt your fellow human beings in some way because you think God said so. My JW cousins are nice people who care about most of their fellow humans, wish there was less poverty and war in the world, and those who have them love their children and do the best they can for them. So, what could compel them to think it's okay to treat someone cruelly who no longer believes as they do? Well, religion can certainly cause good people to do bad things, and this is a prime example. Some of you may remember a YouTuber named Pestman Pat. He used to make videos extolling the virtues of Christianity. Now that he has left his sect of Christianity, his ex-wife and grown children will no longer even speak to him. He made a video about it recently that was incredibly sad and poignant, going into detail about how he was in the religion for many, many years, and had actually gotten his now ex-wife into it in the first place. And they, of course, raised their children into it as well. I asked him if he was a Jehovah's Witness, since the language he was using was indicative of that. He said he would rather not say, which to me means, of course, that he was. This sad story of a man losing almost his entire family is made possible by otherwise good people standing by doctrine cooked up by horrible people without any regard for decency toward their fellow humans. Some JWs would tell you that if it's immediate family, that you can still talk to them, and that is their official doctrine, but in practice, shunning within the family happens all the time. This is a worthless distinction anyway, since if you have friends in common, this now places the person who left in a position of not being able to participate in the same social circles, thus creating distance between the couple. This is a classic method of control used by cults. Other forms of control that cults use are determining who you can date or marry and under what conditions. Anything that is akin to hazing is under that category too, and much more. There are support groups for every religion, but a quick Google search will find a ton of resources for ex-JWs. And of those in the Western world, they need it more than almost anyone, because when that control tactic is pulled, they can find their entire social circle ripped out from under them. It's incredibly traumatic and can lead to depression and even suicide in some cases. JWs say God tells them it's okay, though, so they can have the rest of the world scolding them and they will still have a clear conscience. We can help make some small difference, though. I'd encourage you to give Pat some encouragement like I did, and I'll leave the link to the video I referenced below. This is the part where we're both atheists and humanists.